Hey everyone, my name is Natalia Kosmina. I'm research scientist at MIT Media Lab, and today I'm very excited to present you our latest project called NeuroSkill. This work is done in collaboration with Eugene Hauptmann here at MIT. NeuroSkill is a real-time proactive agentic system capable of modeling human state of mind using foundational EXG models and text embeddings running fully offline on the edge. What you would just need to do is go on NeuroSkill.com, get your copy of the software, and that's all. If you want to use it fully offline, you do not need to do anything else whatsoever. This is how it works. So you download it, you install it, and then immediately you will get into the calibration and device setup. Currently, we are supporting the devices that are widely available to the general public, as well as researchers and thinkers all around, like Muse, OpenBCI, and others. But please do reach out and fill out the form if you want yours to be added. So you would connect the device, do the feed check, and then do the calibration. Let's see how it works. So if you have some different type of calibration that you would want to run for some specific activities like cognitive or affective states, like for example, engagement, fatigue, tiredness, and focus, you can do them all here. Default one will give you eyes open and eyes closed for a duration of 30 seconds, 3 times. But again, you can change all of those for your exact use case. So first, right now, for example, I am wearing a Muse headband that has a 4-channel EEG. We can see the feed. We have that I'm kind of having a bad feed for one of the ear side, which is TP10. I have a good feed for another one, and also have a good feed for my forehead, and okay-ish feed for my other forehead electrode, right? So you have this check so you can see exactly what's happening. And of course, more electrodes are supported if you are to use, for example, something like OpenBCI or other systems. Then you can see different sets and different, of course, setups, for example, 19 electrodes, different reference points, depending on what you're exactly using. And then the calibration starts. Again, depending on your need, you can put different tasks, eyes open, eyes closed, mental mass, word association task, Stroop task if you want, and so much more. Once the calibration is over, you will see the message and you are ready to go. You are ready to start using NeuroSkill. So you can immediately see, of course, your activity, so your EXG activity. In this case, we see EEG activity from Muse device, and you can see immediately one of 60 plus metrics here, which is relaxation and engagement, and there's so much more. If you hover over each of the metrics, you would actually see what those mean and what those are, and they are based on the literature, so state-of-the-art metrics. Again, you are more than welcome to add your own metrics because the system is actually open source, fully released under GPL 3 and ethically aligned AI 100 licensing for the skill markdown. So if you want to add something yours, or you loved a paper and you really would love to have that specific metric, please be our guest and do so. Here starts some cool and interesting stuff, actually. This is where we can play with the labels and see a bit more of the existing embeddings that you might obtain while you are using NeuroSkill. So for example, if you are to go and in EEG tab, look at the EEG similarity, right? So how some of the sessions, for example, you are using the system, let's say for your work, right? And for your focus and engagement. You can see how each day, if you're using it throughout your work week, some sessions are similar to others because maybe you're doing some very similar tasks. You can, of course, label those. Like, for example, here, there is a lot of, as you can see, some focused work happening, a lot of neural network work, ML research, and things like that. So you can see all of those here and label and add those labels, of course. Then a fun part is, of course, interactive part, right? Where you can search the labels you would want to look further into. This will be those labels here in blue. The search will actually pull you the EEG labels here in yellow. And more importantly, it will pull up the similar labels here in green that correspond to those EEG labels closely. And you can, of course, play with them and see what is actually happening. Then you can compare the sessions, because that is, of course, very interesting. For example, you had 2 sessions, and over the span of 24 hours, or shorter if you want, for example, maybe you had a session of 30 minutes, 20 minutes, like a focused session of work, you can compare how these sessions happen. Maybe you have a call with a friend or a colleague, and you want to see how those went, cognitively speaking. So you can see here 2 sessions, A and B, pulled together, and you can actually compare them and see how much more engagement happened or relaxation happened in one of these sessions. Here's an example: include drowsiness, engagement, cognitive load, etc., etc. But the cool thing here is, of course, this next feature, where you can see this EEG brain state map as a UMAP 3D embedding space. So you can see here, just zoom in, and you can see all of these different states here in depth. You can see the progression and how they were changing. This actually looks in a very cool way if you are sleeping with your, for example, Muse headband or any other headband that you may be using for sleep, or for very continuous work. For example, you have a long meditation session, or maybe you have a long work session. Of course, states will change. It's absolutely normal. So you can see actually with this visualization tool, how do they change over time? And you can zoom in and see much further what is exactly happening. Pretty much an X-Men example here, at least for me personally.
White lights are humans. And these are the mutants. Through Cerebro, I'm connected to them. And they to me. You see, Logan? We're not as alone as you think.
Of course, you can fully zoom out and see these states clustered all together. For example, the stress level, the engagement level, the drowsiness level, and so on and so forth. Thank you for your attention, and get your NeuroSkill at NeuroSkill.com.